Hi guys, thanks for staying here. So first I'd like you to watch a short movie to introduce you to the place. Can we have the lights a bit down maybe?
Trzeba mieć warsztat, trzeba mieć narzędzia do robienia książek artystycznych, a ten warsztat to właśnie dawało się zmieścić w tym budynku, w którym obecnie jesteśmy. Muzeum Książki Artystycznej ma 24 lata, ale nasza działalność związana z książką artystyczną trwa ponad 30. Pierwsza powstała w 1980 roku. Książka artystyczna to jest coś, co pozwoli książce jako takiej przetrwać.
Pierwszy raz wszedłem, mam dosyć dobrą orientację przestrzenną, ale pogubiłem się. Stoi tu około 150 ton sprzętu przeróżnego, tak zwana końcówka Gutenberga. Ja nie lubię mieć trupów, które stoją nigdy niczego nie służą. Potem maszyna, jak nie działa, to jest bez sensu. Każdemu człowiekowi w życiu trafia się mniej więcej jednakowa ilość sprzyjających, jak i niesprzyjających okoliczności. Jeden sieje ogórki, drugi pomidory. Ja się zajmuję typografią. Czym się trzeba w życiu zajmować?
A country's typographic heritage is a treasure that deserves care and recognition. As the name suggests, a character is not only a letter shape, but also a reflection of the culture. The history of Polish typography might not yet be fully uncovered, but it definitely deserves research and recognition. Hello and welcome. Let me take you on a short journey in time, and actually I wanted to give you a little break from technology and variable fonts, but after that and after Gloria's talk before me, you might want to have a break from letterpress as well. The people that you just saw in the movie are Mrs. and Mr. Jadwiga and Janusz Tryzno, the owners of the Book Arts Museum in Łódź, or Łódź as we say it. It is thanks to their effort that I am here to tell you the story today. To give you some brief context and facts, and apologies for the image quality, Poland was very quick to adopt Gutenberg's typographic revolution. In 1490 to 91, only 40 years after the introduction of the typecasting process, the first Cyrillic type was cast in Krakow, the capital of Poland at the time, in the printing house of Fiol Schweipold. The next milestone was the first Latin script designed that addresses the specifics of Polish language, such as diacritics. New Polish character was a typeface designed by Jan Januszowski in 1594. It included a very sophisticated set of ligatures, such as RZ, DZ, SK, and many more, specific to Polish spelling. After that, there was a gap until the 20s of the 20th century. There are several theories why it happened so. It might be that the trading and capitalism was introduced and Western crafts were considered to be of higher value in Poland. The second theory is that Poland lost independence for around 300 years, which also probably did not help. But my personal favorite theory is that the current constitution prevented the nobles from Poland from craft work. As one of the writers from the 16th century wrote, all the crafts are dirty and smelly, so printing was kind of a dirty hobby. However, at the beginning of the 20th century, things started to look better. Among the typographic foundries located in Poland, the most prominent one was started by Jan Ićkowski and Józef Drozdowski in 1909 in Warsaw. At first, the foundry focused on importing the designs from abroad, from such foundries as Berthold or Wülmer, to start releasing some original Polish designs later on. After the Second World War, industry in Poland was nationalized. The Idzikowski's foundry became the hub, centralizing all foundries into the National Type Foundry in Poland. When the classical printing industry collapsed, the foundry closed down in 1993. At first, the whole equipment was supposed to be scrap-heaped. All machines, all type, melted and recycled. Prior to closure of the foundry, Mr. Tryzno bought the type from the National Type Foundry for printing purposes multiple times, and so the current director of the foundry called him, and together they managed to save the whole inventory. Literally, tons of metal type and machinery, including dust, as Mr. Tryzno likes to say, were moved into the basement of the building you see on the photo, the Book Arts Museum in Łódź. Movable type is not permanent. This, plus the quality of handcraft, is what gives the typeset compositions their spirit. Having graphic design background and working with physical type opened a whole new realm of possibilities for me, and it greatly influenced the way I see working with text in digital platform now. Typesetting is kind of a Zen activity. It is very time-consuming, and in comparison to what we are used to do while working on the computer. It has plenty of limitations, as physical type is, of course, not adjustable, and you always have to plan ahead while working. However, the results is almost unforgeable. The workshop located in the basement of the villa is constantly being expanded. It includes a bookbinding room with guillotines and paper presses, a foundry room that is still used to cast type, as you saw in the video. And here we have 4 monotype supercasters and 1 composition caster. And of course, the metal type. And the typefaces available in the collection come from 2 main sources. One, in this space here, we have the monotype collection that we can still cast. And we have recently produced a catalog of these fonts, as we are ready to do it anytime. And if we have projects with larger chunks of text, we simply count the letters and cast whatever volume we need. Each letter case has around 30 kilograms of metal type. There's also another collection that comes from the National Type Foundry, and it's located in the printing and typesetting room. Over there we have a hand-operated printing press, graphopress, which is Czech Heidelberg windmill version, hot stamping press, USSR linotype, and a monstrous fat Corex press that you see behind me on the photo. Together with monotype, it all comes up to 26 drawer cases and about 15 to 20 letter cases in each of them, filled with a variety of different typefaces. Here in the printing room, we have a larger selection of typefaces than in the monotype set. However, some of them are incomplete or used up. The sizes are from 6-point up to 72-point size, and most of them are remnants, as I said, from the National Type Foundry. Some were donated to or purchased by Mr. Tryzno throughout the years. Besides type, there is also plenty of justification material, leading, spacing, printing lines, ornament signs, and symbols. Last but not least, we have also some wood type, and the sizes here vary from 1 up to 9 squares, which is 4 to 36 Cicero, and to translate it to point size, it's 48 up to 108 point size. And the styles are mostly simple grotesques, however, you also have 2 versions of fracture typefaces. The salvaged inventory also contains a real treasure of 85,296 matrices, coming up to 92 font families. Each package is an instant of a typeface in a single point size with around 80 to 150 matrices, and some of them contain the original punches. Opposed to the supercaster technology, the setup process for the so-called inch matrices is much more complex and expensive in maintenance. So it is not very cost-effective for our low-volume casting purposes. In order to organize the inventory together with the museum, we initiated a documentation project in the summer of 2016. We opened up each package with the matrices, deciphered the documents to get the name, instance, and size of the typeface, and made a picture for archive purposes. Of course, I believe you agree, this is an amazing treasure, but during the documentation we came across a couple of real gems. Their value comes from being the original Polish designs that were never properly researched or digitized. Our initial concept was to digitize the full collection. However, during the first level of research, we realized that the majority of the projects are not in fact original. It's hard to admit, but what happened is that the foundries in Poland created interpretations of typefaces from Western foundries, such as Bertolt or Wüllmer mentioned earlier. At this point, it is difficult to guess whether or not it was to avoid costs for copyright. For instance, APIS, that you see in the back, was an interpretation of block typeface from Bertolt. Polish name block, released in 1920, was almost a one-to-one version of a typeface called Hermes, designed by Heinz Hoffmann in 1908, also released as block by Bertolt. Modena, that you see right here, is based on the original design by Friedrich Wilhelm Klukens from 1923. Keep in mind the current printing techniques. He compensated by increasing the inner lights of the glyphs, and especially such as A or E in lowercase. And the difference in the adapted version can be spotted especially in the lowercase f and j, which are pretty quirky on the left. And it was cast in sizes from 6 to 48 point. Another design that is arguable is called Neil, and such as Modena, it is also a modification, but some might even say that it's a standalone font due to characteristic differences and as it is a geometric concept. The original is Memphis, and it was designed, the Neil was designed by the Idzikowski's Type Foundry in 1934 and cast in sizes from 6 to 60 point. One of our favorite ones is called Pan Europa, and it's from 1931. And the numbers are the first thing that you notice to be different from Futura, which is supposedly based on. Besides that, the lowercase g, the uppercase q, and so on. If you look closely enough, you start to see those differences, which suggest that Futura was just an inspiration. But Pan Europa must have been drawn from scratch. As today we have tens or even more versions of Futura, it is questionable whether or not it could be treated as a standalone design. Besides the regular, semi-bold, bold, italic, and text versions, there was also a display uppercase version called Pan Europa Double. If you compare it, it is actually much closer to the original Futura, which has no subtle differences in the numbers and the uppercase letters. According to our current available data, Narew and Rex are the first two Polish originals designs that exist in our collection that I can show you today. As of that, we might make revivals of them in the future. Pułtawski's Antiqua is up to date the most famous original Polish typeface. Adam Pułtawski is well known in Poland even today. His typeface, designed in 1928 and cast in 1939, existed in regular, semi-bold, and italic version. The design was supposed to accommodate for the light in the glyph spacing for pairs of letters specific to Polish language, hence the round lowercase w and y or uppercase r and k. The first project that has already been started for revival is called Brygada. The print proof of the design exists only in one of our catalogs from 1954. We were unable to find any documents regarding the designer or the design itself. The characteristics of the design have much in common with the Pułtawski's Antiqua. We know that, Adam Pułtawski started designing during the interwar period with Dzikowski's Type Foundry, and excuse me, current knowledge suggests that the typeface was released before the war, so it's possible that he was the author. In the collection of the National Type Foundry, Brigada exists in 8 versions: 6-point bold, 6-point italics, and regular in 8, 12, 16, 24, 28, and 36-point size. We were just granted this month the funding from the government for the first stage of revival project in order to research the actual history of the typeface, the author, and the year it was published. The matrices were dusty and dirty, so first, before approaching the project, we had to clean them before taking reference images. They appear to be machine cut with an utmost precision. However, disregarding the size, there are some issues with the design itself, which might explain why we were yet unable to find a print example besides the one in the catalog. For the comparison purposes, we created a rough 0 version, and it's almost one-to-one to the matrices. As you can see, for a design developed in the 20s, it's a very modern and light typeface. While we looked at the matrices and the digitized version, we found multiple imperfections in the final molds. It is surprising, as a full range of the molds of the matrices was produced, which must have been very expensive. Now we will have to address all the imperfections and still preserve the spirit of the typeface while adding the extra bold italic version and expanding the character range from the base set of around 120 glyphs to up to above 400, so it covers multiple Latin languages. The next project that is almost complete already is Cyclops. It is a quirky typeface that up until recently had a proof of existence only in italic version. It was kind of a Loch Ness monster of Polish typography, as the italic version existed in many catalogs, but the upright was nowhere to be found. And everybody knew that it exists somewhere, but no one actually ever saw it. In the collection of our museum, we have both the matrices and the metal type for the upright version. 2 students from the Academy of Fine Arts in Łódź, Marcin Dybaś and Joanna Kotas, approached the work slightly differently to our Brigada project. As they had the metal type available, they created a series of prints on various papers and with slightly different ink, scanned the prints and carefully selected what they felt was the most perfect print to create a digital version. From that point on, they also expanded the typeface and with diacritics, so the language coverage was wider. Currently, in early conceptual stage, we have the final revival that will tackle the Hebrew typeface designs. Together with Liron Lavi-Turknish, we are planning to apply for a grant project and research the history and the design of the Polish diaspora typefaces that traveled even to Israel. One of the most famous ones is Chaim, created by Jan Levit around 1928 and patented in 1929. Here you can see the original matrices of the Chaim bold. There is also a regular and narrow version. And it's also important to add that for a Hebrew typeface, it is very modern and extremely bold. Even today, it is a very popular typeface still used in Israel to set headings in newspapers, obituaries, cigarette box warning labels, and many more. While we looked at the modern interpretations and the original, we believe that it has never been properly digitized. Here you can see another one called Velish. It also exists in Israel, but while over there it is believed to have been designed in 1920s, one source that I managed to find already in Poland references it among other Jewish typefaces in 1909, specifically stating, "A great achievement of the Orgelbrand's foundry were original designs of Jewish typefaces, Hebrew and Yiddish. It is specific for typefaces named Meruba, Velish, and Rashe, and a subtle calligraphic script." For this one, we actually have the original punches. In the landscape of advanced technology of type industry, letterpress and the work that I do in the workshop became a kind of an anchor for me. And it is always too great to find an excuse to get away from the computer for a moment. Whether it is preserving the Polish typographic legacy, research, making creative work that brings together various crafts and people, or bringing the past to the future, I feel that the Book Arts Museum is the right place to be. I hope that you enjoyed my story of the museum and the typographic legacy that has been preserved, a place where history, tradition, new ideas, and innovation are nurtured and explored. If you have any questions or would like to cooperate with us in any way, please feel free to contact me later. Thank you so much.